It is July 9th, 2018. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and tonight we're talking about the go-home show for Extreme Rules. With me is Justin LaBar, and Matt Morgan is on his way. I just got the text. He will be here soon. I don't know, maybe he's got some Longwood business he's doing. He's longwooding, as it were, but he's going to be on to talk about Monday Night Raw shortly. Justin, what did you think of the go-home show tonight and how it stacks up for Extreme Rules on Sunday?
Not a very extreme go home. I know I've seen many people ask me just because they're going to it here in Pittsburgh, as I'll be. It doesn't, it's a cage match, but there's an Iron Man match, a 30-minute one at least. I mean, there's not a lot of, extreme. There's not a lot of emphasis on the gimmick really. So I don't know. It was Raw happened, and Raw is come and gone, and my life is really no different for it.
Yes. Remember back in the days when Extreme, the heyday of the 90s, the Extreme heyday, when everything was just Mountain Dew and Red Bull and snowboarding and electric guitars?
Well, don't forget about Surge. Was it Surge? Was that the
energy Surge. Yeah. Love me some Surge.
The issue is that, WWE is so, there's so much programming, there's so many gimmick pay-per-views that, this has been the case for a long time, that they have this event called Extreme Rules, but odds are it is usually not the most extreme night of the year as they'd like to promote it. There are many other shows that are more extreme, whether on purpose or by accident. So this gimmick of a show is already, I think, it already starts behind the 8 ball as is. But then when you get 6 days away from it and you have a very limited amount of stipulations even to attach to it, it doesn't help the case.
Yeah. Oh man, you're wearing a Kid Rock shirt. That was like the heyday of Extreme. That was like peak Extreme when Kid Rock came out, Devil Without a Cause.
And this was an accident, and then like as you and I just said a second ago before we went on air, I was like, oh well, this is just gonna be a surefire, I don't know, heat magnet probably. It's Kid Rock for U.S. Senate. If those who know me know it's a joke, but I know that some people will now assume things.
And I think we can all thank God every night when we go to sleep that Kid Rock decided not to run, and we can be so thankful that he's pursuing his true purpose, which is making excellent music.
I'm not going to go down your trapped statement there, but I would love to see Matt Morgan on a ballot against or with Kid Rock, because either way I'd have to take a screen grab of that, and there would just be a lot of glory in seeing that image.
Absolutely. Devil Without a Cause. I listen to that album once every couple of years. When he went country is when I was like, I can't hang with this.
I'm part of Kid Rock history. I was all over his induction at the Hall of Fame for WWE. I'm part of it.
That's true.
I can put myself in Kid Rock history.
Because they thought you were Fred Durst, dude. Someone saw you in the red hat walking around town. They're like, dude, Fred Durst really let himself go.
Wow. Yeah. I never thought my life would be called Fred Durst, but in a poor attempt of humor there, but okay.
What? Fred Durst? Very timely.
Get Matt on here, please.
Yeah, he's coming along
here. Get Raj. Where's Raj at?
Raj, I think, is Raj in San Francisco still? Raj, okay, so just for fans of the podcast, and I'm assuming everyone watching are fans of the podcast, Raj was like, oh, I'm going to be in San Francisco at the Cow Palace. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh, maybe Raj and Glenn will get together. And over the weekend, I actually did this. He was busy, but I was like, oh man, I hope Raj doesn't call me or email me to get together. I don't want to drive to San Francisco. Yeah, it'd be nice to meet him, but it'll happen at some point. Like, please, Raj, don't call me and ask me to get together so I don't have to drive an hour, we spent time together online.
See how dare you, Raj and Mrs. Raj and I had a great time in New Orleans. You got to take advantage of the time.
That's the thing. No, I'll see Raj at a wrestling event where I fly there. We're both there, but for me, it's like I don't need on the weekend to drive an hour and deal with the traffic and everything else. I get to talk to Raj plenty, on this very podcast.
You have a lot of TV you need to binge watch, as we've discussed.
Yes, and we did over the 4th of July weekend. It was awesome. Check out my Twitter feed for some recommendations to that end. So tonight, man, I tweeted about this at the start of the show. We're going into Extreme Rules. What's the main event going to be? What's the highlight feud? What's the thing they're kicking off Raw with? They want fresh in everyone's mind. Oh my God, it's Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley. You think this is going to close Extreme Rules? This is going to be the main one, not the WWE title?
It's very possible. It's very possible. I hope not, but yeah, it's possible. I can see that. I could make a case for a couple. I guess that is one exciting thing is you can make a case for what could end it. I could make a case maybe for the Iron Man match to close, but only if it closes to put emphasis on the title. Only if it closes, you almost need something big to happen, whether it's a Dean Ambrose return or you need something really kind of big headline worthy. But Lashley and Reigns, of course, it's Roman Reigns. I still don't buy Brock Lesnar not being at SummerSlam, so I think Reigns and Lashley is going to have an effect of what happens with Lesnar. So I could see Reigns and Lashley ending it, and WWE's be taking a huge risk if that's how they end things this Sunday, because I mean, what are they going to do to go off the air without booze?
Yeah, and booze from the audience, not booze like the drinking, like Stone Cold coming out there with a beer truck.
Yes, that kind of booze.
Maybe that's what Vince thinks. Roman goes out there every night and he just get booze from the crowd. And Vince is like, they threw beer at Stone Cold. That was part of his gimmick.
If Vince is still getting over $1 billion from TV deals in his 70s, I got to think he's a little bit sharper than that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. They started off the whole pull apart thing. The pull apart thing can, it can work if there's actual real fire behind a feud, but I don't feel, when they've done it in the past, they did it really well a couple years ago, I think, leading up to SummerSlam with Brock and Taker, I think it was. And they had the whole roster. I mean, it can work really well if you truly feel that there's some realism to it. But this just feels very manufactured of I don't respect this guy. This guy, he couldn't be the man 10 years ago. And it just feels very, very forced. So it's really hard for me to get behind. I mean, props to them for trying, I suppose. Trying to start hot, but I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, the pull apart, the brawl, I just don't buy it. Their whole backstage confrontation. I mean, this is, at least Sami Zayn was being a real asshole to Bobby Lashley. It wasn't funny, but at least you kind of believed, like, okay, I believe these guys fighting and having some sort of come to blows,
Yeah. I mean, and again, these two guys are two, big physical guys. So, I think if the weeks leading up to this had been done differently, then maybe this would peak the meter a little bit. But it just feels so. And I know WWE as a whole, I know everything with WWE leading up to the show eventually has been. I know there's been a lot of changes. So I get that maybe WWE just got themselves in a place where it's like, all right, we have to run with what we got to run with. So maybe that's played an effect in this. But still, it's done no favors having these two guys team up against the Revival for week in and week out. I have not felt the emotion that you want to feel out of a match that's potentially going to be the main event at a show called Extreme Rules. I
think 3 weeks ago in a creative meeting, they were just kind of like, this is a lost cause. Let's focus on SummerSlam, guys.
And in some ways, I mean, this is somewhat, in some ways, like an inconvenience creatively of a show, sure.
But remember last summer with Great Balls of Fire, we thought that was going to be this stupid throwaway pay-per-view, and that ended up being, dare I say, delightful.
Dare you say?
Dare I say? Yeah, I feel like Extreme Rules, not top 4, not top 5.
No.
Top 8? Top 6?
I don't know. I really don't go past the top 5 ranking. I've said this many times. I've worked Money in the Bank into being a top 4, and it's bumped Survivor Series to number 5. I really don't go beyond ranking that. I will say though, I'm hearing it, and we'll see what happens as I get more. If I can get more information to make it more official, I do think we are before the end of the calendar year going to have our first ever women's only pay-per-view.
They listen to this podcast. They read our Twitter feeds. We've been talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you were talking about what I've been talking about. Maybe Becky Lynch has a belt in her future if they really listen to the fans.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, as you and I have been talking about on Wednesdays, the way that she's winning and by submission, certainly it's a possibility.
Hey, it could be a fashion belt that she picks up from Express at the mall. Doesn't necessarily, need to be a championship belt, but it's a belt nonetheless.
Damn it, say title. Title.
Oh man! Speaking of the women's division, Hell in a Cell, by the way, I think is after Money in the Bank. I think Mania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, Money in the Bank, Hell in a Cell would be my next one.
Yeah, Hell in a Cell is enjoyable. It's another one of those things. Again, the gimmick gets so overdone to where, and now that they have to do. Now they have a women's only Hell in a Cell match probably moving forward, and a men's Hell in a Cell. It's almost like then you have to balance as producing the show. You have to balance. Okay, you guys can't leave the cell. You got to stay in it. We're going to say leave the the cell spot for later, and it becomes like it's a big Hell in a Cell match, but like how big is it really? I don't know. Again, it's just gimmicks being oversaturated.
I agree with that to an extent. Remember when there was talk like, they're going to do a cruiserweight Rumble. Like, it was like, we're just going to do everything. Take the one concept. Remember, like, Money in the Bank, there's going to be 17 Money in the Bank matches.
Yeah, Cruiserweight, Money in the Bank, Tag Money in the
team,
Bank.
Yeah.
You know, announcers are going to rip off their suits and they're going to have Money in the Bank, you know, for supremacy to cash in on Michael Cole, become the lead voice of Raw.
Oh, well, Graves will win that. Warren Saxton has a fire in him. He's scrappy. I think Saxton could rally if he had to. Anyhow, speaking of women's matches, Mickie James and Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax and Natalya. Did this somehow telegraph the outcome of Extreme Rules, given that Nia Jax and Natalya were standing tall at the end, that Alexa Bliss might retain? I think we were talking about this before. Alexa versus Ronda, SummerSlam, tough to make a credible match, but in terms of promos, man, Naya and Ronda did not bring it. They were downright cordial to one another. What did you think of this match tonight and how they're keeping stuff going between Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss?
Yeah, okay match, but yeah, to your point you're just making, I mean, it goes back to what we said. Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey in the pro wrestling formula, absolutely, because Alexa Bliss is very good on the mic, and she's got this great character. She's such a great heel. But Ronda Rousey is like Brock Lesnar just because of the history and the way they want to present her. And you don't completely go off of pro wrestling formula. You have to take a little bit of the realistic formula, the realism. And that's why Nia Jax, at least in the ring, physically worked because of her size. You know, like you said, promos work the best. You know, so when I have the side-by-side graphic of Rousey versus Bliss, I don't know. You know, I mean, you know, the way the Rousey towers over Bliss, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to squash it all now. I'm going to give it hope, and hopefully they surprise me if, in fact, that's what we go to for SummerSlam. But I do think, just as I say with Brock, as great as some smaller athletic performers are in WWE that could put on an exciting athletic match potentially with Brock, I have a hard time seeing Brock go against guys that are drastically smaller than him. I need to see guys who physically on the marquee look like they could fight with Brock Lesnar, because that's how his matches are, fights. Ronda Rousey, up to this point, could be similar, and I need to see somebody who realistically looks like that can fight her.
Yeah, no, and I think, man, if only we could merge Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss somehow, they would have it all. That's a mental image. I just want everyone to pause and let that.
Yeah, I just really was going to silence myself on making any comments at the point for that.
No, I mean, they're both great, but they're great in different ways. And when it comes to Ronda Rousey, that's the thing. So back to what we were saying earlier, I mean, good and bad for Becky Lynch. Becky absolutely could be built up to be fed to Ronda, to put on a competitive match, but ultimately lose. Sasha, I think, could work in that capacity with Ronda, where the physicality and the promos. With Alexa, I just think it's a little tougher to believe because of their size difference.
Yeah, well, you got to find something that's going to be a threat to Ronda Rousey. You know, Becky Lynch, they're making a big point of her continuing to win, and it's via submission. Charlotte Flair, you know, has the pedigree of being a Flair, so that kind of gives, you know, right there. Natalya, credibility of being a Hart. Alexa Bliss, again, she's so good as a heel, but she's that chicken shit heel. She's that can run you down on the mic, but it's you know, it's how do you make it work bell to bell? Again, not saying they can't, but it's just the curiosities and maybe somewhat doubts that I have at this point in time. Again, if that's where we go for this, but we got to get through Extreme Rules first. They could completely. I mean, Ronda's sitting front row, so who knows what they. You know, I'm going to get bumped to row 2 or 3 because Ronda's in front row now. So you know, who knows what swerves they're going to throw out.
You think they're going to do like Cena, cut Ronda cam the entire night?
I think, well, no, not the whole night. I don't think she'll be front row until that match comes.
Ronda drinking a beer, dancing with the fans, taking selfies.
It'll be fabulous, but no, I don't. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think we'll see her out there all night. I think they'll conveniently wait until it's just time for that segment. And she'll all of a sudden enter the building.
Yes. So tonight, let's see. Jax scooped up Mickie, pressed her high for another pop. Jax dropped Mickie, runs the ropes, got a leg drop and the pin. Nia Jax and Natalya win. We'll see what happens. I think Alexa and Naya could reconcile, and then Alexa uses Naya as her muscle to soften Ronda up before their SummerSlam match, and that's how they make it seem a little more of a balanced fight.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Nia Jax fits much more. I like her as a heel, again, just because of her size. It makes sense. But I'm confused. You know, some weeks she's a heel, some weeks she's not. It's really flip-flopped drastically in the last 4 months. So it's hard for me to keep score.
Yes. Like most things, don't think so hard about it, Justin. It's a lot better if you just sort of, just watch. What was that quote that came out from a former writer that, yes, indeed, now the stances the writers assume that the audience just sort of fills in the blanks in their head?
No, I didn't see that. But,
yeah,
but even your paraphrasing is kind of funny to me about that.
Yeah, I mean they just figure it out. They come up with their own logic for why things happen. So they don't really. That's why they don't care about continuity so much in the programming. So yeah, we'll see what happens in that rematch. Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss this weekend. After that, got some promo time backstage with Charlie Caruso talking to Nia Jax. So yeah, they're building that up. Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens. I know they wanted to show what happened last week. I felt like. I mean, this is the rough cut of what they're going to show us Sunday, right? Before their match.
Yeah, basically. It was a sneak preview of the video package.
It's like, if we don't even have the video packages, to entertain us, the pay-per-view is doomed.
It's a special screening.
Oh, man. Yeah, they really kept this going with Kevin Owens. He brought a note tonight that he couldn't compete. Thought that was a very Kevin Owens thing to do. Very clever, dare I say cute. We got promos backstage setting up the B Team and Deleter of Worlds. But before that, No Way Jose versus Mojo Rawley. And what was it Coach Spin said about Mojo Rawley? This is my new guy. And it was like, okay, apparently Coach slept on Mojo this entire time. Oh man! So this is going to be a pre-show match, right? At Extreme Rules.
I would assume if it's not already official, then yeah, I would assume. This is Mojo Rawley, kind of like some. Well, I don't know if he sums up, but he's an example of a guy. Again, he's physically, got great size. There's a lot of potential in this dude in terms of like personality he has and switches he can turn on and off and intensity. But they're just doing no favors. If this is, if they really felt like they had some commitment to him, then you would just have him basically destroy a guy like No Way Jose quickly. There wouldn't be all this drawing it out the last few weeks. So, is he going to give him the rematch? This and that. It does nothing. It's literally just treading water. It's dog paddling in the deep end. Which is a shame because I mean, you could, if you wanted to, you could try to do something with Mojo Rawley. He's a guy who's got an athletic history, and he can go out and do press because of his personality. It's just kind of like I don't know what to. It's kind of like the darts get thrown on the wall, and the dart was not thrown on the wall for him right now. We're gonna put him out there, but there's just not a lot of rhyme or reason for what they're doing with him. So I mean, yeah, he'll probably come out the better end of it. He'll probably come out on the winning end of this. But what's it mean? He beats a guy No Way Jose who's been around for a cup of coffee on the main roster and done absolutely nothing.
Hasn't Mojo won every single match in this feud thus far?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's come out on top, and no matter what, whether it's a match or not, he's been the dominant force. So but I don't see. I'd be shocked to see if No Way Jose tops him. I don't know.
Mr. Matt Morgan.
Hey guys, sorry.
Looking like he's on the set of MTV's Fear. Hey Matt, so tonight, are you excited for Extreme Rules after what you saw on Raw tonight?
No.
Okay. Well, I think, guys, the podcast is done. No, I mean, I was going to, Matt, we should go back and recap what we've been talking about. But, I mean, first hour of the show, what did you like? Like, that's probably the better question.
No, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the build-up with Bobby and Roman.
Oh, you liked it?
I like the match that we're going to see. Right? So the two characters going against one another, I like that. I just think we're still stuck in this purgatory place, this mid-gear of who's the heel, who's the face, who should we cheer for, who we shouldn't. Right when I think the fans are going to start booing Roman and they're going to have no choice but to turn him, then these clowns cheer him. You know what I mean? Like, there was no definitive heel. You know what I mean? So that part of it sucks. But the athleticism of the two is what I'm looking forward to. You know what I mean? The actual wrestling match itself. So it just feels like I'm waiting until that pay-per-view comes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The stuff with the girls tonight was pretty decent. I like that. But obviously, well, you said first hour, so I'll stop.
Yeah, well, that's what we just talked about, Mojo and No Way Jose.
Oh, dude, Mojo's going over on Bobby Roode on house shows. So Mojo's getting a legitimate run at this, I guess. I don't know. I do like his aggressiveness. I think they got to get him off of No Way Jose. He cannot be stuck with that dude. No offense to Jose,
but this hasn't brought out Jose's character at all. I mean, you're just beating up the dancing fun time party guy. But you know what I mean? They might as well have the Six Flags man come out there and dance and Mojo kick his butt. It's like Jose should have a character.
That guy?
Yeah, that guy. Just have him come out there and then Mojo just beats him up. And it's like, Mojo's a beast.
He kind of looks like the Monopoly guy, that old man.
Oh, absolutely. But with Jose, I mean, that's about as far as this character's gone. Have we ever even gotten, like, the backstory? Like, no. Jose grew up in a town like Footloose where they weren't allowed to dance. So now that he's only moved away, he started a conga line, so dancing follows him everywhere. I'm just saying. I want to know more about Jose.
I don't want to know more about Jose.
Yeah.
I want to see Matt Morgan in the conga line.
He couldn't pay me. I think that would be the thing. I think that there's no way.
Hey! If Braun Strowman before he was Braun Strowman could be a rosebud, you can be in the conga line.
Oh, if it would start my career out, and yeah, of course, I probably would.
But now, if the WWE calls you, or if you call them, and you're just like, "Hey guys, next time you're in Orlando, can I just be in the conga line?" That'd be fun.
And then have Raj pay him adequately to wear a little sign that says "Tune into the podcast after Raw."
While I carry this segment.
Yeah. Jinder Mahal backstage telling Seth Rollins not to burn it down. Find his inner peace.
Okay, so now I'm wrong because with you guys, or was it Raj? And I said that they're not dumb enough to make this into a thing. This won't be Jinder's new thing, and it is.
He's the guru again.
Good.
Yep, it is what it is. So Rollins went to the ring, cut a promo on Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre in advance of the Iron Man match at Extreme Rules, which is going to be Ziggler and Rollins for 30 minutes. And man, with McIntyre, he really went there. What'd you think?
What do you mean he went there?
Well, he accused him of, I guess there's some negative stereotypes about the Scottish that he was bringing up, but one of them that he said at the end was insinuating, it gets really lonely and you only have sheep around. And does Dolph have the photos, of Drew fornicating with the sheep?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And that was a great match too, by the way.
The main event. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But, that's a decent storyline. But this is where I get confused as a fan because this has more intrigue than not the Universal Championship match, but what is kind of in that spot, Bobby versus Roman, right? I'm more into Seth versus Dolph coming up at this upcoming pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know why it's so. Well, they did put it on last. They did put it in the main event. So I guess I don't know. I just it's a bland show. It's a middle of the road show, and I hate saying that because as a wrestler, I used to see reports, and someone would say that, but what does that even mean? Be more definitive with your damn answer. What do you mean it's a middle of the show type of show? But this is what this felt like to me: middle of the road, type of show. I didn't lose anything if I missed it, right?
Yeah. There wasn't even anything where it was like, oh, I got to witness this one thing that happened on WWE TV.
Yes.
It was funny or clever or interesting, or I can't believe they did this. But there was no surprise to reward you for tuning in.
There's not. That's why I like SmackDown so much better.
Yeah, and they know that. SmackDown, I believe, absolutely understands that even if it's a nothing week, they say, okay, we're going to do some callbacks. We're going to do something funny. We're going to put together, a true variety show with wrestling to keep you entertained.
Yeah, they do. NXT definitely does too. Yeah.
Well, NXT, with its shorter time frame, NXT can just pack it wall to wall with awesomeness.
Yeah.
Because they shoot it in advance. Yes, we had a promo segment setting up the main event for later in the night, and then we had Matt Hardy versus Bo Dallas. B Team picking up another win, which maybe the titles are staying on Leader of Worlds at Extreme Rules. But how are you feeling? Are you still feeling invested, or have you gotten invested in the B team at this point, Matt?
I mean, the wrestler in me wants to see them win. You know what I mean? Because they were not being utilized for a few years at least, right? And now they're getting an opportunity. I think they're making the most of it. It's a horrible gimmick. It's a horrible idea. These guys are very, very talented. You know what I mean? I hate to see them do something corny like this, but they're their new gimmick. But they're making the most of it. They're making it work. So you automatically kind of cheer for them as a wrestler, that you want to see them keep climbing. You know what I mean? And win those tag titles maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Justin, do you think they've veered too far from the B team narrative when now they're just mocking Bray and Matt every week?
Ooh,
in a way. I mean, what's it say about Curtis Axel, who's the son of who many consider one of the greatest in-ring performers? What's it say that the bulk of Curtis Axel's regularly televised career in WWE, he has either been doing impersonations of other wrestlers, or he's been the lackey to the Miz. So those are his two. I mean, like there's a and believe me, I'm the guy that always preaches this is not just a wrestling show; it's an entertainment show. So you got to step out of just bell-to-bell action. But at some point, I mean, it was cool when the B team started to win the first week or two, and they had the Sharpie shirts. It felt like there was something cool, and now it just feels like it's the same old rehash. Oh, we're trying to do impersonations to get heat on, against our opponents, and it's just really not funny. It's not really particularly good or entertaining. It's just kind of filler. Everybody remembers when DX did it great, and we remember the great impersonations back in the 90s, and it's very few people have been able to replicate that kind of stuff. So when it gets done poorly, it just becomes blah.
And here's how you know they're just doing it, like the writers, to entertain themselves versus them trying to get them real heat. Because if you could pick any two worst characters as far as good versus evil, and the good guy would get upset if you were to make fun of him and mock him and imitate him, right? More than Hardy and Bray Wyatt. They're not like normal human beings, right? They're like, they're very gimmicky. They're very match crazy.
They have like a supernatural element to them right now.
Yeah. Bray Wyatt's got a little supernatural kick to him, right? And Matt's crazy, and it's like those are two characters that wouldn't care. And therefore, we don't care that they're being mocked and made fun of by the other two. So there's no heat in it whatsoever. So what is left? Why would they make them do this? My opinion, because they think it's funny. The writers, they think it's funny. And that's stupid. I hate that. I hate when writers write for themselves. And the three boys, a few of the boys watching it on the monitor on week one and laughing about it. And the writers thinking they've got something. And then they continue it.
You know what it's like? It's like, remember SNL back in the day, Matt, when like they would do a skit like Rob Schneider was the copy guy or church lady, and then they would just keep doing it more and more and more until you almost got sick of seeing it. And you could tell the writers thought it was hilarious, but it wore very thin with the audience.
Yeah, and again, these are two characters that as good guys that wouldn't care if someone's making fun of them. So there's no heat behind it.
Yeah,
we don't feel bad, right? We don't feel empathy or sympathy because they're being mocked, right?
If tonight had been the only one, I thought tonight was the best one content-wise, but it was like the fourth time they've done it now. But when he was out there going beans and rice and avocados if they're in season, like his Bray promo, I thought was actually, if this had been it, would have been perfect.
Let me be clear. I think they're very entertaining at it.
Yeah.
I think they've done, like I said, the most with it. But I don't know. There's no legitimate heat that these two heels have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe it's not meant to have it. Maybe it is just supposed to be popping the writers that are writing. I don't know.
Well, and depending on what's up with Bray and his car accident, and if he can really go to do a full match. I mean, so tonight it was Bo versus Matt. Bo took advantage of the distraction, dropped Hardy for the pin. I mean, I could almost see the B team beating Deleter of Worlds on Sunday, and then Authors of Pain just comes out, beats down the B team, and then the titles change the next night on Raw.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Would that be satisfactory to you, Justin?
It would be to me. Authors of Pain win the titles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would get the titles on AOP and get their momentum back. I mean, it would be a way to transition, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know what to think. I mean, I'm a fan of Matt and I'm a fan of Bray individually. I'm not sure what to think at this point. They haven't been done a lot of favors, I don't think, for the cards they've been dealt, what they've had to work with. So,
yeah.
Same thing for the record, Justin. I'm the same way. I know you're friends with Matt too, right? You root for him personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially with what he's been through. And it gets so frustrating because he handed them the golden goose with this gimmick. He hand-delivered it to them. And they had to get in their own way and go, no, we need to do WWE's way. No.
Sometimes it seems like, and Matt, you know this even better, sometimes it seems like they ask too many questions. Even if you don't quite understand why people are liking the ultimate deletions and stuff being filmed at his house. Even if you don't get it, it is working. So just go with it. Let the guy do what has made him successful. And the reason why, by the way, they're paying him what they're paying him to get him back to WWE because of what they saw.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Like they're not paying him pennies, but yet they want to just go ahead and say, okay, but we know better. All right, well.
Very, very good point. You're absolutely, yeah. What got him back to the dance? That gimmick.
Yeah. We cut to backstage. Tyler Breeze talking to the Riot Squad, or at least what's left of it. Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. Man, Ruby Riot out. Fandango, we learned, is going to be out for 6 months with an injury.
Fandango, where did that come from?
The story broke. When did that come out, Justin? Today? Yesterday?
Yeah, just recently, I think.
What he just got injured in a match? Is it Fandango?
Yeah, Fandango. I think it's Wrestling Inc. has the complete story. I believe it's something with his shoulder. Something requires surgery that he has to take care of.
Oh, I was wondering why you put it in there. I thought I missed it. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I was thinking about because Tyler Breeze was backstage with the Riot Squad. Ruby Riot also out for a little while. So yeah, injuries once again.
What'd you think of that backstage?
It was the most stereotypical bad. Like people that want to mock wrestling or boxing, or whatever. They'll go Sunday. This here you have. We don't do fashion, and then the poor Hulk Hogan rip. We riot. It was like, what the hell was that?
It would have been only more perfect if then like Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy kicked in the background or something, you know?
Yeah.
Giving each other piggyback rides. I mean,
so corny.
Yeah, and I think both Sarah and Liv are great, but this gimmick is just bad.
We're crazy. We're nuts. Look it up.
I'll tell you what. Talk about absence makes the heart grow fonder. If there was anybody that wasn't necessarily in the camp of rooting for Ruby Riot, with her being out for however long she's going to be out, even if it's just a month, and then these two girls having to fly solo, nothing against these two girls on them individually. But Ruby Riot, hence why the group was named after her. She was the leader of this, and she was definitely, I think, had the best character, had the best connection. So her being gone for a few weeks is going to expose these two if they keep throwing crap like this around.
And at first, I didn't agree with it. At first, I'm going, Liv Morgan's the money between the three of them. What are they doing? But no.
Yeah.
Ruby is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we got Liv versus Ember Moon rematch there. Moon picked up the win with the bridge. I mean, I like the match fine, and I like this rivalry fine.
I do. You want to know why? Because it's a great match for Ember Moon. She's working against one of her NXT counterparts that she's worked a million and other times. So now she has an A+ match for her against an opponent that she could wrestle in her sleep and get all her stuff in, be comfortable with her opponent, not be nervous, and that's what you need to continue to do with younger talent if you can get it. And they're lucky that they have that, So it wasn't an exciting match or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. But again, it gets Moon some wins.
Plus, I was a little disappointed. I love watching Ember Moon's matches. I love to see that finish. That finish right now is the most exciting finish, I think, on Raw or SmackDown. And I didn't see that they didn't do that finish. I mean, I know you got to change it up, but right now that's one of the things I hang on is to see that finish done by Moon and see how well some people can sell it.
That's a crazy finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this rivalry could be good. They just need to give Liv a little more character and give Ember a little more. I mean, Ember has such an amazing... Actually, both of these women have incredible looks about them. So you get a sense of who their character is. But, man, let's really give this feud stakes. Make it a story.
What do you do, though, with Ember? Because what I liked about her at first at NXT was she's part vampire or part whatever. We didn't know, right? Like, I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool and mysterious. And when you have that kind of character, a la Finn Balor with a demon, you got to shoot that from like certain angles and certain different things, because other than that, I'll see shots of her in the ring and go, she just looks like any other girl, but she's a little bit shorter. You know what I mean? Like when you see her in battle royals and things like that, that normalize her and normalize her look, if you will. I don't know how to explain it to you.
No, Matt, it's funny you said that, because just before she came to the main roster earlier this year, I was talking to a friend about her, and I like you said, I like shoot her differently. I like the entrance that she can do. I like the whole the thing with the contacts and the eyes. And I said, let's do something with her that I really can't recall them having done since like maybe like a Kane. Do something that stands out, at least for the first few weeks of her matches. Light the ring differently, light the arena differently while she's having her match. You know, she's got that werewolf kind of midnight thing. Light everything differently for if you're going to give her that 6 weeks of beating, having the quick squash matches. Light it differently.
Yeah, and the dumb question: why not always do that? If it works and it's a hit.
Yeah, like, they did it with Kane. If you remember when Kane first showed up in '97, for the first couple weeks, maybe months on Raw, when he was kicking the shit out of people, the ring was just red. I remember him fighting Vader, like the first pay-per-view that he fought, so I think Survivor Series, and the ring was all red. And I was like, this is so. I mean, because Kane at the time was like an unbelievable character. I was like, this is awesome, and we haven't seen that. So because it hasn't been overdone, try it on somebody like an Ember Moon, and that could really make her stand out.
Yeah, and then or back to the demon again. If with what's his name, with Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're afraid to go too far in that direction from a production point of view. Maybe Vince doesn't like it, but it works, man.
I think it's lazy. I think it's they say, oh, it's time to sink and swim, and it's like, you're not doing anyone any favors throwing them a damn anvil in the water, though. you know what I mean? I hate that saying, sink or swim, because it's not created equally. Braun Strowman was not told to sink or swim. I'm sorry. They put him in the shallow end and just fed him people for months. So there's a difference of that versus taking someone like Ember Moon, who has a gimmick that needs to be somewhat protected, that needs to be shot certain angles in a different way, and give us some back storyline behind her, behind the character itself to make it different. And then you got to stay on that and follow that up. You got to do a little bit of work, creative. I know it's hard, but you got to put some work into it. You know what I mean? So it's not. I hate when they say, "Oh, it's sink or swim time." It's like it's not created equally like it once was, where wrestlers can go out there and literally snatch that brass ring, a la Stone Cold on the mic, and say whatever he wants and took chances in what he was saying. They don't get to do those types of things anymore. So they cannot say those stupid comments anymore about grabbing the brass ring or what I was just saying earlier, even. You know what I mean? About sink or swim. It's not the same. Well,
how do you think Baron Corbin did grabbing for that brass ring tonight, singing Itsy Bitsy Spider with Elias?
That's what I think, character-wise, in the long run, it's good. It sounds, you don't think I'm crazy. It's the Big E theory. If you can make these guys do some of the most ridiculous things and make them that comfortable, okay, when it's time to bring them back to whatever character you have envisioned for them 5 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever from now that character is, they'll be better for it. Like Big E is going to be a humongous, in my opinion, main event caliber draw when it's time to pull him out of that group because of his experience and doing the crazy things he did with this group. Mark my words, there's not going to be a promo that he won't be comfortable in. There won't be a context he won't be comfortable in because he went so far in the opposite direction of what he was first debuted as, right? So you get these repetitions doing these things that would normally make someone uncomfortable. That was the goal behind the stuttering character with me, honestly.
Matt, I watch you talk about this. I think we've talked about this before. Have they ever asked you to come just even speak at the Performance Center to some of these kids?
No,
in NXT?
I'm joking. I don't know. They haven't, though.
No, I mean, because your perspective on this is so good, and I think it would actually probably benefit them not only to hear from, HBK and the people that went into the Hall of Fame, but to hear from guys that, had some ups, had some downs, were around the business and have that perspective to learn. I think, in fact, dare I say, they might learn more from someone in your shoes than someone that had this, historic epic career, because not everyone's going to have that career. A lot more of those performers are going to have careers similar to yours than HBK's.
Definitely. That is true. And they got to be willing to, I'd be on them like flies on shit, though, about pushing their opportunities on TV. And it is a different landscape. Look what happened to Big Cass when he tried to do it. He did it in the worst way possible. I would have just done it and then, asked for forgiveness later. I wouldn't have asked them to tell me no. They can still do it. But, yeah, it's a different setup there now as far as that goes. And I get frustrated when they put it on the talent. And you hear some of the old timers chiming in saying, well, back when I was there, I snatched that brass ring. I wanted it. And yeah, you did, but it was a different day and age. Today, these kids can't do that same thing. Don't tell me they can't, because I've seen these kids send in 50 pages worth of storyline scripts and 50 different directions you could take their characters, and it doesn't even get looked at half the damn time. You know what I mean? So it's not the guys aren't putting in the time and energy, because they are. Most of those guys you see on TV are wrestling nerds, just like me, just like you guys. They love, eat, sleep, drink, and watching that stuff, and now they're having an opportunity to do it. You don't think the majority of them are trying to make the most of their opportunity and constantly sending them different ideas and storylines? Yeah. And these writers just, I'm telling you, that many writers, they ruin it. They ruin this sport, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with you. When Corbin started singing, I was like, oh, dear God. But then when he took the moment and said, I think this is going pretty well, or whatever, I was kind of I turned on it. Justin, how about you? Did that sort of save the moment for you?
No, it's a funny comedic touch. I mean, overall, yeah. I mean, it was weird to watch, and it was a little bit uncomfortable. But everything Matt's saying makes a lot of sense, because the whole purpose of the Constable Corbin character, not only to give him a little bit more visibility by putting him in an authority position, but it was that's been like kind of the knock they've had on him. They wanted to put him in a position where he needed to do more talking. He needed to do more segments backstage with Kurt Angle, live with other talents, because they wanted to get that comfort there, because he's got a look. And they can teach him. They've taught him through NXT, and he's continuing to get better and better in the ring. So that stuff can be taught and can come around, but you can't. You can only get better on the mic in live situations with experience and repetitions, and that was the whole point of this. That was a driving force of this whole Constable Corbin deal. So everything Matt's saying in terms of this being something beneficial in the long run, I think is spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it for yourself, you guys. If you were told, use my character again for example, Glenn, if you were told to go up there and talk like Glenn Rubenstein in a promo, me, Glenn Rubenstein versus The Rock, cut a promo, you have 10 seconds, go, or 20 seconds, versus Glenn Rubenstein, we want you now to stutter, you have a speech impediment, you're overly defensive about your speech disorder, you think you're being clowned by all your co-workers, but you're really not, and you become a bully because of it. You have 20 seconds to get that character within this promo versus The Rock, go. If you could do something like that, where you're really uncomfortable doing this other crazy far end of the spectrum character, you can damn sure guarantee when it comes time, a year or two from now, just to give up the straightforward promo of Glenn versus The Rock, you'll knock it out of the ballpark 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the thing. I mean, it's some performers are better than others. I think Corbin, that's what he's got. He's got that talent. I think you're right, Matt, that they're letting him experiment more. They tried him being, the surly, guy with the skullet and the gut, just sort of, I'm a lone wolf, yada, yada, yada. I'm better than you.
I kind of believed in the bad attitude he had, though. I kind of believed in that a little bit.
A little. I liked when he was doing in NXT,
yes.
The go back to Ring of Honor, just saying random stuff. That was cool.
Stuff with the motorcycle, too, was cool. Yeah.
But on the main roster, though, it was kind of, thin, like his hairline. But now that they're putting him in different situations, letting him do comedy, he's a funny guy on Twitter. I think there's a lot more to him than what we've seen, and that's what's going to make him a star.
Well, another thing that works for him too is that in this day and age of some of the vocal majority of fans, he's exactly what they don't like. He's a guy who does not have the deep wrestling background. He came from the NFL, and that type of bigger guy who gets plucked from other sports and gets to pass up the indie darlings, there's an elk of fans that despise that.
That's true.
And so he's learned about it. He's learned about it. He's learned about the culture he's in, and he embraces it. He realized, okay, this is simple heat I can get. So feuding with a guy on Twitter, with a guy like Finn, who's the exact indie kind of guy, or background kind of guy that fans don't want to see Baron Corbin jump in front of in line, it plays perfectly.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought this tag match, Elias and Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor and Bobby Roode. I mean, they're continuing these feuds with Corbin and Finn, and I guess now Elias and Bobby. Kind of wish it was the other way around with Baron and Bobby, and then Elias and Finn. But I thought this match was okay. I don't know, did it do anything for you guys? The tag match?
No.
Yeah.
I was happy for Bobby personally. You know, he's getting beat on house shows by the old boy who I just said before,
Mojo
Rawley. And to see him still in somewhat of a positive light, tagging alongside Finn Balor is good. I'll just keep harping on the same thing we say every week. They need to make him a heel already.
Yeah. So Corbin won that with End of Days on Bobby Roode, pinning him for the win for Corbin and Elias. After that, we got a little more between Owens and Braun, building up their match at Extreme Rules. And we got Sasha and Bayley in counseling. Why did they keep this going tonight?
Paying that doctor all that money.
Yeah, but
it was a different doctor. They got rid of Dr. Shelby and brought in somebody else.
Oh, Dr. See it really?
Yeah, they got rid of Dr. Shelby and had a woman there. So.
Did they address it? Why?
Yeah, they said it was a different doctor this week.
Yeah, I think when Cole and them were introing it, they said that they weren't making any progress, so they got a different doctor, and it was weird.
Oh, Dr. Shelby must have wanted more money.
Well, but have they announced a match for this Extreme Rules?
I don't think. No, they just said that next Monday they have to report back to Kurt Angle about how their counseling went.
There doesn't have to be a match yet, Glenn, with this.
Yeah, but how long are you going to let this non-feud?
Okay, yes. Overall, the storyline arc, yes, I agree, is humongously annoying.
Yeah, it's like they're taking it back down to a simmer so much that the water's not even bubbling at this point.
You're right. That's true.
I don't know. It's so weird to me. This is me that I always usually harp on the E, about the entertainment, and people need to, appreciate the entertainment. But again, it's this is a show built around conflict and competition. Why the hell do you need to send two people that are having a conflict and competition to go get therapy? But then again, you could have said the same thing about Bryan and Kane, and it turned out to be golden. So whatever.
Yeah.
And Graves even called it out though tonight. Saying you settle this in the ring, not in therapy. I was like, thanks, Corey. What everyone was thinking. And then we had our main event, which was Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. Stipulation on this is that if Drew McIntyre won or Drew McIntyre lost, that he would be banned from ringside at Extreme Rules for the Dolph Seth match. And McIntyre ended up winning. Was pretty good main event. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to where they go past Seth and Dolph on Sunday. I feel like, man, once again, though, Rollins is the biggest star on Monday Night Raw. And whatever he does is what I pay attention to the most.
He is. I'm a little nervous, though, that he's starting to lose a little bit. Not much. I mean, a smidgen of his overness, if you will, if that's a word I can use. Do you know what I mean? He was he was white hot and primed for, maybe maybe that's me looking at it from a different perspective and me nervous that fans nowadays won't stick with him the way they are right now. They've stuck with him longer than I expected them to over the last 3 months now, right? I keep waiting for WWE because he's not wrestling for the title, to insert Bobby or Roman ahead of him with TV time and all these other things. And luckily for us, Roman and Bobby are just not doing a better job than Seth is at the moment. Because by design, let me be clear, Seth is not their guy that they want to be their top babyface at the moment.
Yeah, what'd you think of the match, Justin?
Oh, it was a good match. I got to say, the spot of the night, the counter of the night, the show of strength of the night is Drew McIntyre hung up in the Tree of Woe. Talk about some core strength. Does basically a sit up, grabs Rollins, and then suplexes him over his head. I mean that. You don't have to have worked in the ring or just look at that and just look at it and say, okay, here's a 6'5" guy doing a sit up to then grab another guy who's 210 pounds legitimately and to heave him over his head safely. That was pretty impressive to watch. So that right there made the whole match for me.
That and what about the tilt-a-whirl slam? He caught him on a whatever that was, Walanda through the ropes, caught him, and then hit him with a tilt-a-whirl on the apron.
And I appreciate the thrill of watching those apron spots, but I cringe every time they do it. And they do it every week.
Those kill, like, oh my god.
Yeah. Man, McIntyre won with the Claymore kick on Rollins, and
which is good. Good win for him.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to being past Extreme Rules. I want a real build to SummerSlam. I feel like it's the second biggest show of the year. Who knows what's going on with Brock right now? So Brock showed up at the UFC pay-per-view the other night. He's going to fight the UFC heavyweight champ.
And where was it tonight? Where was Brock tonight to follow up on that madness that happened in the Octagon Saturday night? That was madness that happened. Brock drew the ire of every single MMA fan in the universe in one push.
Yeah.
Okay, and WWE doesn't throw whatever money they have to throw at him to get him on the show tonight.
Yeah,
and that's what I wonder. Like, none of us are going to know, and there's very few people, a handful of people that are going to know anything that's going on in the Brock Vince McMahon conversations of what they've worked out. But it's got to make you at least wonder, man, is Brock one of the few guys in Vince's illustrious career as a promoter who was able to, in some ways, get a little bit over on Vince in the sense of, like, if you're Vince, everything that Brock did to grab headlines on was a Saturday. How does Vince not say, if you're going to go do that while you're my Universal Champion and I've been paying you handsomely and I made your career over 10 years ago, you're going to come on my show 2 days later and we're going to have all the headlines saying, Brock Lesnar speaks for the first time after challenging the UFC champion on Monday Night Raw. How do you not have him?
I don't know.
I don't know
how you don't. And from Brock's perspective, I'd make him pay him more. Whatever it takes to get Brock on that show, you do it.
Yeah. No, this is, insulting isn't the right word. Actually, it is insulting to the WWE fans, right? This idea, forget Brock's actions. I'm not saying Brock is insulting them, but the fact Vince would let this happen. We have this MIA champion, and then he goes, makes news in this whole other arena. And when's the next time he's defending his title in the WWE?
I'll say this, unless Braun Strowman cashes in his Money in the Bank at the UFC fight that Brock Lesnar fights Daniel Cormier, this has been a wasted opportunity.
Absolutely. Or like the hardcore title Defend Anywhere, it should just be Braun.
If there's gonna be a WWE talent that you're gonna have unexpectedly walk onto a UFC show and do some fake wrestling stuff, it's Braun freaking Strowman. There's no UFC fan that's not gonna go, well, he doesn't look tough. That's the guy you're gonna send on there.
It's funny when I see these little UFC fighters talk smack about how fake wrestling is too. We're talking like 160 pounders here. You know what I mean? It's hilarious to me. Just because a guy chose that as his profession to make more money than you do, by the way.
I'll just say it, Matt. You take shits bigger than these guys. Come on.
Seriously.
It's all the creatine and protein powder. Come on, in fairness.
And then you use the butt wipes that Glenn uses, right?
Yeah, the Dollar Shave Club. Promo code INC.
I had to get it in there.
No, it's really nuts that this is the state of the WWE currently. When was there another time when you had an MIA champion like this, and let alone have them do it? Could you imagine if Hulk Hogan had taken off with the belt and then he's showing up, challenging Mike Tyson to a fight or something like that? Without Vince masterminding the whole thing.
Yeah, the last time Thunder Lips. Right, he left Vince Sr. to go do it. Very different, obviously. It's not the same thing. But, it's a big dog. I thought Brock big dog WWE, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He big leagued him for a better, to go back to UFC and do his thing. And that's great. But, again, like you said, how does WWE not act on it. I don't get it.
And as fans, I don't know. I mean, look, I think we all suspend as much disbelief as possible in this day and age. But if you want that title to mean something and you want being champion to mean something, they've really devalued that now to the point where it means nothing on Raw.
That title means nothing to me right now. Nothing as a fan at all. It's going to take a long reign from someone of consistently defending that, in my opinion, to build it back up. To me, as a fan watching, to me, that what that title reminds me of now? The TNA, what was it called? Legends Championship. That's what this title is to me. It's a joke.
Was the Legends thing a contractual thing? They're like, some of these guys are putting in their contracts, like they have to be a champion, but we're not giving them the main title. Oh, I know. We'll come up with the Legends Championship. So that's what it always sounded like to me when I heard about it. So did you guys watch New Japan, the G1 special over the weekend?
No, I can't get the whole damn show on YouTube yet.
Justin?
No, I've seen the viral clips that were put on Twitter, but I did not watch it.
I saw the clips too. I saw, what do you call it? What do you call it from the Bullet Club? Tamatanga, his brother and his dad turned on Bullet Club. I saw all that. I saw that.
Yeah, I think I've heard good stuff about it. I've not watched it. It was in San Francisco. Cody versus Kenny Omega was the main event, right?
Yeah, Cody turned face.
Yeah. I need to check it out. I apologize. Raj is actually out in San Francisco, was out here for this, so maybe Wednesday we'll get his experience. And tentatively, if you went this deep in the podcast, we don't want to jinx it, but Teddy Long tentatively set to join Raj and myself Wednesday. And yeah, that should be interesting, and I'm sure we'll talk about New Japan after. Anything else you guys want to hit this week or plug before we take it home?
No.
And we have Extreme Rules on Sunday night. We'll be back here to talk about all that. Justin, Chairshot Reality, check it out.
Yeah, Chairshot Reality at Justin LaBar. Maybe look for some clips this weekend. WWE's in Pittsburgh, so we got a lot going on. I got the I'll be hosting the Bruce Pritchard live Something to Wrestle With show. It's sold out this Sunday here in Pittsburgh, so you never know. There's always a surprise guest. It's crazy. You got to check out social media. We'll have some clips. Also, WrestleRumble.com. Go on there and make predictions about who's going to win at Extreme Rules. It's a fun way to make it more exciting. You can win some money. Each question's worth a certain amount of points. It makes watching the shows that much more enjoyable. So check it out, WrestleRumble.com.
Awesome. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein. I'll be tweeting along with SmackDown tomorrow and Extreme Rules on Sunday. Until next time, folks, we'll see you back here Wednesday on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.